Hey guys. Hello. I hope you're all doing well. We're back again for episode 5 in the reading challenge, reading the book Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. So today we're going to continue. We're starting at page 33 where chapter 2 starts. All right. So thank you. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done so, share that with a friend. Leave us a comment to tell us what you think about our series. And then don't forget to like the video as well. Let's get started. Page 33, chapter 2. The Talent Magnet. I not only use all the brains that I have, but all that I can borrow. Woodrow Wilson. When you walk up to the porch of her house in Menlo Park, California, you can sense that Meg Whitman, CEO of eBay, has spent time on the East Coast. With its salt box shape and white wood, it is one of those West Coast houses that looks like it should be in New England. The house just might remind Meg of her time in Cambridge, Massachusetts, while at business school. It was September 2007. It was September 2007 and early in the race for the 2008 presidential nomination. There were many interesting candidates vying for the ticket for both parties. That day was a chance for us locals to get a peek at one of the candidates, and for me, it was a chance to extend our research and gain insight into two interesting leaders. As the guests gathered on her backyard lawn, Meg Whitman took the microphone and began to introduce Mitt Romney as a candidate for president of the United States. Her introduction was simple. I was a young consultant at Bain & Company and had the good fortune to work for Mitt Romney early in my career. After we were hired, all the new consultants scrambled to get on Mitt's project team. Why? The word spread that he was the best boss to work for because he knew how to lead a team and he grew his people. Everyone grew around Mitt. You can imagine Meg, a newly minted Harvard MBA, ready to make her mark on the business world. Like many MBAs, she chose to begin her career at Bain & Company, an elite business consulting firm. But she knew landing in the right place inside would determine how quickly she'd learn and advance her career and her value in the marketplace. She heard from one of the more senior consultants. If you're smart, you'll find a spot on Mitt Romney's team. She didn't quite know why Mitt was such a great boss, but being savvy, she maneuvered her way onto his team. She learned why when she started working with him. On Mitt's team, people were engaged. He took the time to get to know each person and to understand the capabilities they brought to the team. This went well beyond reviewing their resume. Mitt would determine what people were naturally good at and find a way to use those talents with the client engagement. In assigning people to roles, Mitt asked questions like, what is the next challenge for you? What would be a stretch assignment? It wasn't unusual for someone on Mitt's team to get loaned to another group if their skills could help rescue a troubled project. In one-on-one meetings, Mitt not only asked about the status of project deliverables, he asked about the blockers. A favorite question was, what is getting in the way of your being successful? Meanwhile, many of Meg's colleagues didn't get the same guidance and found themselves working for more typical company leaders who appeared more concerned with advancing their own careers than growing the people on their team. Team meetings typically consisted of long briefings from project leaders, followed by the usual project updates from each of the consultants who reported on progress in their functional area. People stuck to their roles on the team. When one person was struggling, he or she usually just suffered in silence and pulled a few all-nighters rather than relying on help from colleagues. The job got done, but individual efforts were not acknowledged. The only visible recognition was kudos given to the project leader and an increase in the size of his or her organization. As for the destiny of the project members, they were almost certainly guaranteed a role on the next project that closely resembled what they had done on the last project. In any organization, there are talent magnets. People who attract the best talent, utilize it to its fullest, and ready it for the next stage. These are leaders who have a reputation not only for delivering results, but for creating a place where young, talented people can grow. They are accelerators to other people's careers. Mitt Romney operated as a talent magnet. He accelerated the career of Meg Whitman, who went on to be CEO of eBay and lead an 88 times increase in revenue. Not only did he have his impact on Meg, Mitt was a magnet and an accelerator in the careers of hundreds of people with a similar story. Perhaps you are a talent magnet. Would your people describe you as someone who recognizes talented people, draws them in, and utilizes them at their fullest? Would they say they have grown more around you than any other manager they have worked for? Or would they describe you as someone who pulled them into your organization, not as a talent to be developed, but more as a resource to be deployed and then left to languish? Or would they perhaps say that they were heavily recruited but not given a meaningful role, rather than just visible role, and served as a showpiece or hood ornament in your organization? Some leaders are like magnets that draw in talent and develop it to its fullest. Other leaders acquire resources to build their empire. This chapter explores the difference in these two approaches to the management of talent and the impact that these leaders have on the people around them. The empire builder versus the talent magnet. Multipliers operate as talent magnets. They attract talented people and then use them to their fullest. You might think of it as a working at their highest point of contribution. They get access to the best talent, not because they are necessarily great recruiters, but rather because people flock to work for them. As Meg Whitman found Mitt Romney, people seek out a talent magnet. They do so knowing their capabilities will be appreciated and knowing their value will also appreciate in the marketplace. In contrast, diminishers operate as empower builders who hoard resources and underutilize talent. They bring in top talent and make big promises, but they underutilize their people and dissension them. Why? Because they are often amassing the resources for self-promotion and their own gain. Empire builders accumulate people. They collect people like knickknacks in a curio cabinet on display for everyone to see, but not well utilized. Each of these approaches produces a self-perpetuating cycle. The talent magnet spawns a virtuous cycle of attraction, and the empire builder spawns a vicious cycle of decline. A cycle of attraction. In 1914, Ernest Shackleton, the venerated British explorer, embarked on an expedition to traverse Antarctica. His recruitment advertisement in the Times, London, read, "Man wanted for a hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success." Surprisingly, hundreds of men applied. Shackleton, with the wisdom of an experienced captain, staffed his crew with men of certain orientation, men who were attracted to adventure and recognition, but who were also realistically prepared for the hardship they would face. No doubt, Shackleton's ability to attract the right team was one key factor in the survival of every member of the expedition. The cycle of attraction begins with a leader possessing the confidence and magnetism to surround him or herself with A players, sheer raw talent, and the right mix of intelligence needed for the challenge. Under the leadership of the talent magnet, the genius of these players gets discovered and utilized to the fullest. Having been stretched, these players become smarter and more capable. A players become A+ players. These people are positioned in the spotlight and get kudos and recognition for their work. They attract attention and their value increases in the talent marketplace, internally or externally. These A+ players get offered even bigger opportunities and seize them with the full support of the talent magnet. And then the cycle kicks into hyperdrive. As this pattern of utilization, growth, and opportunity occurs across multiple people, others in the organization notice, and the leader in the organization get a reputation. They build a reputation as the place to grow. This reputation spreads and more A players flock to work in the talent magnet's organization. So there is a steady flow of talent in the door, replacing talent growing out of the organization. This cycle of attraction outlined below is exactly what happened to Mitt Romney at Bain & Company and why Meg Whitman knew to join his organization. The cycle of attraction. 1. A players get fully utilized and grow. 2. A+ players get recognized. 3. Increased market value, offered opportunities. 4. Reputation for place to grow, attract other A players. A talent magnet creates a powerful force that attracts talent and then accelerates the growth of intelligence and capability. These leaders operate like an electromagnetic force that, through interactions between atoms, propels matter in the universe. A cycle of decline. For many years, I had the pleasure of working closely with a colleague named Brian Beckham, a brilliant and affable Canadian. Brian had a reputation for being smart, optimistic, and collaborative, and could solve just about any complex problem that got tossed his way. This reputation earned him a key role as the vice president of operations in a rapidly growing division. The problem was that the division was run by an uncontrollable diminisher and determined empire builder. Brian went to work solving the complex problems of the emerging division. However, he soon found that SVP running the division didn't really want the underlying issues addressed. The senior vice president wanted one thing: grow and empower. And he wanted growth at all cost. Brian's role quickly degenerated into window dressing, where he and his team fixed issues on the surface just enough so the executive committee would continue to fund additional headcount into the organization. For many months, Brian continued to pursue his work at full throttle, but deep problems were festering at the core of the division. With continued indifference from his manager, Brian became numb and started to settle into mediocrity. He lost good players on his team. When other leaders in the company saw the depth of the problem in this division, Brian's Midas touch reputation quickly tarnished. After several years hanging in there hoping for things to improve, he found himself stuck in a dying organization, watching his opportunities fade. Soon, Brian became one of the walking dead that roamed the halls of so many organizations. On the outside, these zombies go through the motions, but on the inside, they have given up. They quit and stay. It was painful to watch this happen to Brian, whom I knew to be an absolute superstar. No doubt you have seen this happen to colleagues in other organizations or have been there yourself. Is it possible, then, that it is happening inside your own organization? Empire builders create a vicious cycle of decline. Talent recruited into their organization soon becomes disengaged and goes stale. The cycle of decline begins much like the cycle of attraction, which is why it is easy to be deceived by diminishers. Empire builders seek to surround themselves with A players, but unlike talent magnets, they accumulate talent to appear smarter and more powerful. The leader glosses over the real genius of the people while placing them into boxes on the org chart. The A players have limited impact and start to look more like A- or B+. They fail to get noticed for their work, and they lose intellectual confidence. They begin to recede into the shadow of the empowered builder. Their value in the job market drops and opportunities begin to evaporate. So they stay and wait, hoping things will turn around. This cycle of degeneration impacts not only one person, it infects an entire organization. The organization becomes an elephant graveyard, earning a reputation as the place people go to die. As one technology superstar said of his empty vice president job, "I'm definitely past my self-buy date here." The resignation in his voice made it clear. If he were milk, he'd be curdled. Empower builders, having earned their reputation as career killers, continually struggle to get truly top talent into their organizations. Perhaps this is why they labor hard to hoard the resources that they have. Empower builders may initially be able to attract top talent, but their focus on building themselves and their organizations underutilizes the true talent that they have in their organization and renders it stagnant and inert. They generate a cycle of decline that spirals downward, as illustrated below. The cycle of decline. 1. A players get boxed in and limited. 2. A- players lose confidence and recede. 3. Decreased market value, stay and wait. 4. Reputation for place to die, averts A players and attracts B players. 5. B players. Empower builders hoard resources and underutilize talent. Talent magnets attract talented people and use them at their highest point of contribution. Let's explore the world of the talent magnet. These multipliers who create a cycle of attraction and grow intelligence around them. The talent magnet. The talent magnet creates a cycle of attraction that accelerates performance and grows genius. But does this only work for top talent and for the A players in the market? Or can a true talent magnet find and grow genius everywhere and with everyone? Ixol AG, a maker of generic drugs, is located in a small village close to Munich, Germany. Hexol was founded in 1986 by twin brothers and self-made entrepreneurs, Thomas and Andreas Strongman. Andreas, a doctor, is the medical authority, and Thomas is the international marketing genius behind Exol. These brothers teamed their expertise to build a successful generic drug company, growing primarily from the local talent pool in the village. What makes the company unique is that its approach to talent is anything but generic. It is an approach that gets extraordinary results from very ordinary people. It starts with how these leaders hire people into their company. Anyone who has been in the hiring manager's seat knows the process can be painful. To find the right candidate, you will waste a lot of time interviewing the wrong candidates. This is particularly frustrating because you typically know they are the wrong candidate in the first 3 minutes of a job interview. But regardless, you feel compelled to proceed with the obligatory 60-minute interview and the pleasantries of, "We'll get back to you." The Strongman brothers cut right to the chase. When they were looking for a general manager of Excel and in the Netherlands, they began with the normal actions. They engaged an external recruiter, gave her the job requirements, and then waited for a list of candidates. The recruiter brought forward 9 candidates, but then they did something quite unusual. They made arrangements to conduct the interviews in a single day in a rented conference room at Schiphol Airport, just outside Amsterdam. The recruiter reviewed their planned interview schedule and was shocked. They had allowed just 10 minutes per interview. She called to inform them that it was impossible to interview so quickly. The Strongman brothers disagreed. They met with each candidate for just 3 minutes. Every candidate except their final candidate, with whom they spent 3 hours. They explained their unusual approach. When we consider each person, we ask 1 or 2 questions. If they don't fit, we simply don't continue the conversation. If the person is individualistic, we know that he or she won't fit in our culture. When we find someone who fit with our company, then we spend a lot of time with this person to make sure we understand their capability and what they would bring to our organization. The Strongman brothers knew how to spot and attract the right talent. Once people joined Hexel, they discovered another one of the Strongman's unconventional practices. Excel doesn't have jobs per se, and they don't have an org chart. This isn't like some elite organizations that choose not to publish their org chart for fear that some other company will snatch up their talent. Excel didn't have an org chart because the Strongmans didn't believe in them. Jobs were loosely created around people's interests and unique capabilities. They call their approach the amoeba model. Here is how it works. Ursula's responsibility was to assist the customer service manager. In her role, she saw a large number of repetitive requests for the same action and was continually updating people on the status of these requests. She had an idea to use the internet to create a workflow tracking systems. She wrote up a little proposal and sent the idea around to her colleagues in an email asking, "What do you think about it?" Some people replied on email and others stopped by her desk to discuss it in person. But everyone agreed that it was a good idea and wanted to see it happen. She gathered the people she needed, secured some budget, and got the system built through this makeshift team. The team then presented the system to the Strongman's brothers, who applauded their efforts and Ursula's leadership and initiative. These twin brothers simply believed that if an idea got support from a lot of people, it was a good idea. At Hexel, you could work wherever there was energy. Through encouraging their employees to use this heat-seeking approach, they were able to utilize people at their highest point of contribution. They didn't box people into jobs and limit their contribution. They let people work where they had ideas and energy and where they could best contribute. They let talent flow like an amoeba to the right opportunities. There are clearly multiple reasons for their success, but it is interesting to note that the Strongman's brothers sold Hexel along with holdings in another company to Novartis in 2005 for $7.6 billion. At age 55, they were each worth $3.8 billion. As they lead Hexel, the Strongman's brothers got extraordinary results from very ordinary people. Why? Because these twin talent magnets knew how to unleash people's genius into their organization. How does a talent magnet find and unleash genius? In the 4 practices of the talent magnet, we find some of the answers. we'll stop here. So thank you again. Thank you for staying till the end. Thank you for supporting this project. So if you just come on the channel and you haven't subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. Leave a like to this video and make a comment. Tell us what you think about this episode. And if there's a book you want us to read next. Thank you and see you next. God bless.